Two iconic Android devices, but only one can be a dogfight champion. How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com. I've got the HTC One S and the Samsung Galaxy Nexus in my hands. Stock ice cream sandwich over here, new ice cream sandwich with Sense 4, and a nice build quality at that. Over here, bigger battery in the Galaxy Nexus, but svelte, good-looking design on the HTC One X. Which one is the ultimate must-have device? We're going to find out as we always do in the dogfight, but first, special thanks to Best Buy Mobile for hooking us up with phones like this for use in our One Paw Bandit game. When you go into Best Buy Mobile to get the One X or the Galaxy Nexus, you're going to walk out working. They'll help you set up your email, your web, your contacts, your camera settings, battery life optimization, and more at Best Buy Mobile. Let's take a look. One X, Galaxy Nexus, which one do you think is going to win? We're going to find out starting right now. You got a lot of hot choices when it comes to Android on a lot of the carriers in the US, but internationally as well. Now in front of me right now I have two Android devices, the HTC One X. This is the global version, although it's coming to AT&T on May 6th for $199.99, and it's bringing a couple of changes, a different processor, the Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 dual-core processor at 1.5 gigahertz is one, and then also it's going to have 4G LTE capability on AT&T. But this is the international version, so to give you a rundown of the international specs, it's got a 1.5 gigahertz quad-core NVIDIA Tegra 3 CPU, a 4.7-inch HD display with 720p resolution there, and then you have an 8 megapixel camera on the back with 1080p HD video recording and burst mode as well, which we'll talk about more in part 2 of the video. You have a front-facing camera, you have a 1,800 milliamp hour battery, and then you have Android 4.0, also known as ice cream sandwich, with HTC's newest over here, Sense 4.0. So a lot of changes there that we'll dive into in just a second. Then you have the Samsung Galaxy Nexus. This is actually Sprint's flavor, the Samsung Galaxy Nexus. And you'll notice some changes if you have your Verizon version laying around. Take a look at this. You'll see some minor differences. The back cover is a little bit different, obviously with the Sprint logo, but with the texture as well. And then you'll notice the chrome on the sides is a little bit darker on the Sprint version. Specs are the same though, 1.2 gigahertz dual-core TI OMAP processor over here, a 4.65-inch HD display with PenTile technology. So both are 720p HD displays, but this one has PenTile technology and it's a little bit smaller, 4.65 inches. On the Nexus, 5 megapixel camera with 1080p HD video recording over here, a 1,850 milliamp hour battery. Now this is obviously an LTE device. It's working in all of Verizon's LTE markets. Sprint doesn't have LTE formally rolled out yet, but when they do, it'll be an LTE device. Now this comes with a little bit of a caveat on Sprint right now because obviously they have an established WiMAX network in the US, so you're not going to get 4G on this device. This doesn't have WiMAX as a back end, if you will, or as kind of a fallback. It just has 3G and then 4G LTE. So if you're coming from, let's say, like the Epic 4G Touch, you live in a market like Charlotte where you're getting 4G capabilities right now, or 4G as they define it. You go to this, well right now you're going to get 3G because it doesn't have WiMAX support, and Charlotte, for example, has not been announced as a 4G market. So unless you're in, maybe Atlanta, Dallas, Houston, a couple of these other markets that have been announced, you may want to hold off and stick with a WiMAX device. Otherwise, if you're okay with, kind of jumping on the bandwagon, the Galaxy Nexus will be fine for you. But you can see some differences in design here. This obviously has a battery door covering it, and you can remove it to access the battery. And like I said, it's a 1,850 milliamp hour battery. This one does not. It's a non-removable battery. The benefit here is it's a unibody shell, and it looks really nice in comparison. Some people hate the battery door on a lot of these devices. The trade-off is obviously you can get a larger battery and stick it in if you so desire, along with a bigger battery door. This thing is absolutely beautiful though. They've done a really good job with it. It's very thin, very light, and fits well in the hand. It's got a nice curvature on the back, so it fits well and fits very naturally in the hand. Now the downside to this one I found is it's a little bit slippery, and that's the big struggle that I'm dealing with on the One X right now. I've dropped it several times. Could be because I'm a klutz, very possible, but also I've just noticed that it's very conducive to dropping because the back is a little bit shiny, or a little bit glossy, if you will. And I actually put it in a couple of people's hands in the office, and two of them noticed the same thing as well. But on the left side, you got your micro USB charging port. You got your volume rocker over here on the right side. Your 3.5 millimeter headphone jack here, power button, and then of course your front-facing camera. And then down at the bottom, you got a little dock connector here for future peripherals, and Beats audio integrated onto this device. So you don't get Beats audio or Beats headphones in the box, but you do get Beats audio support. So if you do buy iBeats or any of the Beats models, you'll be able to take advantage of that. Volume rocker on the left side, typical Samsung look and feel here. Power button on the right side. Then you have your micro USB charging port down at the bottom, along with your 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. A curved look here. It's got a curved display as well, and it's got a nice fit in the hand. This one feels really nice in the hand. What I will say in terms of build quality, the One X edges out the Galaxy Nexus a little bit. You know, unless you just really have a thing for plastic and you like the texture of the battery door, the One X edges it out a little bit in terms of overall build quality. That said, I think this one fits a little bit better in the hand. A little bit of a smaller display and a little bit more of a curve makes it just an easier device to hold in the hand. And then of course you have your dock connector over on this side as well. So let's take a look here. Stock ice cream sandwich over here. Android 4.0 with no customizations on the Sprint version. You do get a couple of applications on the Verizon version, but we won't go into that too much. Over here though, you have a manufacturer installed overlay. You have Sense 4 on top of Android 4.0. So theoretically, these are both running almost identical operating systems with the exception of a few minor version differences, but this one has Sense 4, this one does not have Sense 4. So let's take a look at both of these and you can see what comes out of the box. Now this is a European unlocked One X, so you're going to see a couple of things you won't see on the US version. 7 digital pre-installed over here, Dropbox. You get Google Plus Messenger and Google Plus support on this device. HTC Hub. Over here you get, and then Messenger, like I said, personalization, which is an HTC thing, which we'll talk about because they do a great job in the personalization department. And then over here, Polaris Office, you get a tune-in radio, and then of course all the typical HTC stuff, stocks widgets, weather widgets, tasks, Wi-Fi hotspot, and more. You'll notice down here frequent and downloads as well, and you'll notice a nice little carousel effect that takes place as you scroll through these. That quad-core Tegra 3 processor really doing a good job. But you can notice a couple of things right out of the gate, particularly if you're coming from an older HTC device. You'll notice an ice cream sandwich in Sense 4. The apps scroll from side to side here, much like stock ice cream sandwich. Also, you'll see some stuff up top here, Play Store, search, and menu. One thing I love about Sense 4, they've really done a good job with this, is the fact that they add text below the icons. Because, for example, I look at this, I'm like, what is this bag with a play sign? What in the world? That may be new to Android, for example. And I'm like, what in the world is this bag with a play sign doing up top? Whereas up here I can say Play Store. Okay, I can click on that and go into my Play Store, go into my applications market. Then down here you'll notice physical buttons on the One X versus software buttons on the Galaxy Nexus. You got a physical back, home, and then recent apps button, and then back here back, home, and recent apps as well, although these are on the screen, so when you turn the device off, you can see, and I'll do this one as well just so you can see the lock screen on both devices, HTC versus stock Android here. You can lift the ring up, and then this one, shortcut to camera or shortcut to unlock, and you're back in business. Taking a look at recent applications on both of these devices, this is where you can see obviously what's running on your device, but you can really see the customization differences on HTC's version versus stock ice cream sandwich. So I can scroll through and see the ones that I like here, and when I want to get rid of it, just swipe and remove it out of the list. Same idea over here rather, where you can swipe through and then remove them as you want to get rid of them, but obviously you can see the HTC customizations on the One X versus the stock look on the Galaxy Nexus. Otherwise, 5 home screens in stock Android, 7 home screens in Sense 4, and then you can see pinch to zoom. You can't do that over here obviously, but you got your 5 home screens and you can see the bar moving at the bottom, and then over here you can easily pinch to zoom and go in and focus on one. And I'll show you this as well, which is pretty cool. Let's take a look at the customizations. You can see the pressing and holding chooses the wallpaper over on the unlocked version, or over on the ice cream sandwich stock version. But you can see widgets over here, and I can press and hold battery life, for example, and I can move it around. You can see my home screens are kind of highlighted where I can easily scroll back and forth, and if I wanted to add the battery widget, I can do that pretty easily. This is one area where I have to give the edge to the HTC One X, because you can take a look. It's really clean, it's really organized. You got your 7 home screens up top where you can scroll between those pretty quickly. And let's say I want to do bookmarks on one screen. I press and hold bookmarks. Well, immediately you can see the 3 that light up in red. That's telling me that there's not enough space on that particular home screen. But that one there is. So I can just easily come in here, click bookmarks, hit select, and then I can add the bookmarks widget to that particular home screen. And then a lot of the HTC ones in Sense 4 are customizable. So it's like they've listened to my complaint about, TouchWiz. Something I love about TouchWiz, something I love about Motorola's UI, the customizable widgets. I've kind of criticized HTC's past versions of Sense about that. So it's nice to see those customizable widgets. Same idea over here, but you get stock Android widgets. You don't get any Samsung widgets or anything like that. Analog clock, bookmarks, all of these are stock Google widgets. They've definitely made some strides from previous versions of Android. They're not as boring, and you can see that most of the Google ones are customizable as well, so I can shift those out and change them around and really kind of make it my own. So if I'm in an area, you know, for example, like that, or like here, for example, where I've got a limited amount of screen real estate, I can customize the widget to make it my own and really kind of make the device how I want it to look, which is really a nice touch. And then of course you have 7 home screens, like I said over here. The dock down at the bottom, but same feature idea here. You can move these around if you don't want the browser down here. You can pull camera down in there, for example, and same idea over here. If you don't want mail, you can move Play Shop down there into the HTC one. Where HTC excels ahead is they offer some nice personalization touches in addition to the widget look and feel. You've got your personalization menu here where you can change the lock screen shortcuts. So I can add, you know, weather, for example, onto my lock screen. I can hit apply, and then I can go back into that. We'll go back in just a second, go back to personalize. And then I can change the skin as well, the wallpaper, all of this from the personalization menu. And that's something HTC has historically done a really great job at. So we can go in here and say aluminum, for example. I want aluminum. And so I've changed the wallpaper, I've changed the look and feel of the dock, along with the bars up at the top of the display. And while I'm doing that, we'll show you what the notification bars look like on both of these devices. Again, stock ice cream sandwich over here. Since for a top ice cream sandwich, you can see both have physical settings buttons. And one other feature I really like about ice cream sandwich, we're going to turn these off and back on. So you can see the weather widget, for example. I like the ability to access the notifications bar without unlocking the display. Big touch, something new to ice cream sandwich, and it's a really nice feature to have. Let's take a look quickly at messaging. We'll go to messages on both of these and show you what the interface looks like. So you can see stock Android 4.0, and then again over here, since 4, you got some shortcuts up top. You got your search, compose, and then your menu button, whereas those are down here on stock ice cream sandwich. We'll hit new message, we'll come down here, and you can see stock ice cream sandwich keyboard, HTC Sense keyboard over here. But the Sense keyboard has a nice little feature called trace input, which I apparently don't have turned on. But we can say, hey there, brown fox. And then I can turn that on in the settings if I want to. Actually, no, let's not do voice stuff yet. I'll show you this. I'll show you this in the settings. We'll go back to keyboard here. Bear with me. Let's do this. And go into settings and take a look at the language and keyboard. Turn on trace input. And trace keyboard, there we go. And we'll go back, because this is a nice touch because swipe isn't available for ice cream sandwich just yet. And you can see you get a nice swipe-like alternative, and of course landscape mode great as well. 4.7-inch display over here really makes it easy to type on. Now over here, one of my favorite keyboards, honestly, the stock ice cream sandwich keyboard is a fantastic option. Quick Brown Fox is hungry and happy. Quick Brown Fox is hungry and happy. But you can see landscape here as well, although the transitions take a little bit longer. I really like the keyboard over here. So the keyboard goes to the Galaxy Nexus, but if you want trace input, the One X offers that alternative.